This is a story you can't look away from. A man with everything, wealth, power. But a 7-year-old girl changed it all. Sophie Carter. A cleaning rag. A heartbreaking secret. William Brooks, known as Will. He's the king of Miami's hospitality empire. Living in a world of luxury, where everything must be perfect. But Sophie shattered that perfection. No childhood, no family. "I need money to buy food for my grandma," Sophie said. Those words cut into Will's heart like a knife. A cold CEO, a hungry girl. They met in a moment no one could have predicted. Who is Sophie? Why is she working? In a place where kids should only play. What will do? Walk away from $1 million deal? Or protect this girl, no matter the cost? This is a story of justice, of love. Of family found when you least expect it. Have you ever met someone who made you rethink your life? This story will make you cry, laugh, and believe. One tiny heart can change the world. Drop a comment now. What do you think Sophie will do next? Hit like, share, and subscribe to spread this magic. Stick around, because the journey's just beginning. Miami, Florida, where the sun never sets. William Brooks, known as Will. He's the king of the hospitality world. His resort sparkles like paradise. Infinity pools, lavish suites. Guests are millionaires, celebrities. They come for perfection. Will built this empire from nothing. Once a poor kid himself, hungry in torn shoes, homeless. He never forgot his past. That's why he works relentlessly, to never seem weak. Now he stands at the top, but his heart remains cold. Will lives in numbers, revenue, contracts, success. No time for emotions. No close friends, no family. By day, he reviews reports. By night, he sleeps alone. But Will doesn't know. His life is about to change forever. Sophie Carter, a 7-year-old girl. She lives on the edge of Miami, where sunlight doesn't reach. A rundown neighborhood, crumbling homes. Rusty tin roofs, cracked walls. Sophie has no parents. Only her grandma Gloria, who raised her. Gloria once worked at the resort. 20 years cleaning, smiling. But then she fell ill. Unable to walk, unable to work. The resort turned its back. They cast her out, no explanation. Sophie, just 5, stepped up. She took a rag, learned to clean rooms. A tiny girl with a giant heart. She works to buy food. Each day, she walks the resort's halls. In an oversized uniform, rag in hand. She doesn't complain. She doesn't cry. Sophie knows Gloria needs her. And she won't give up. But Sophie's life is hard. She's hungry, not for a day but days. Stale crackers. Half a loaf of bread. Sometimes nothing at all. She hides her fear behind brave eyes. But deep down, she's still a child. She dreams of a real home. Where Gloria is healthy, where she can play. Sophie draws her dreams. On scrap paper with a broken pencil. A big house, laughing kids. A table full of food, golden sunlight. But dreams are just dreams. Reality is a rag in tired hands. Will and Sophie, 2 worlds apart. One at the top, one at the bottom. He has everything, but no heart. She has nothing but love. They've never met, until one fateful day, Will opens a suite's door. Sophie stands there, small, resolute. "I'm here to clean," she says. Those words shatter Will's world. He's stunned. A little girl, working at his resort. Why didn't anyone tell him? How did his system fail? Sophie doesn't know what she's done. She just wants to earn money for Gloria. But that moment changes everything. Will sees his past in Sophie. The hunger, the loneliness. He can't turn away. Not this time. Sophie, the girl with the rag. She's the reminder he'd forgotten. Justice doesn't come on its own. It needs someone to stand up. What will we do? Leave Sophie to a heartless system? Or fight for her, whatever the cost? Their journey is just beginning. But a spark has ignited. Sophie's spark of hope. Who is this girl? A hungry child or a change maker? Who is Will? A cold CEO or a father waking up? This story isn't just about them. It's about us. Who's the Sophie in your life? Who needs you to open a door to listen? Will and Sophie's journey. It'll make you cry, laugh, and believe. What can one small heart do? Stay to find out. Drop a comment now. What do you think will do? Hit like, share, and subscribe to spread the word. William Brooks stood frozen. A 7-year-old girl, Sophie Carter, in front of him. She said she was here to clean the room. Her voice was steady, fearless. Will couldn't believe it. A child? In his resort? He runs Miami's most luxurious empire, where everything must be perfect. But Sophie broke every rule. She's tiny, her uniform too big. In her hand, an old cleaning rag. her big brown eyes full of strength. Will took a deep breath, his voice trembling slightly. What are you doing here, Sophie? She looked him straight in the eye. I need money, she said, to buy food for my grandma. Those words stabbed Will's heart like a knife. Hungry, the word echoed. It dragged him back to dark days. When he was a boy, stomach growling. His mom worked, but it wasn't enough. Cold nights, no food. Will had buried those memories. But Sophie brought them rushing back. She stood there resolute. Will felt his chest tighten. He couldn't turn away. What's your full name? He asked. Sophie Carter, she answered, voice clear. Where's your grandma? He pressed. Why are you working? Sophie looked down, her voice softening. She's sick. I have to help. Will was stunned. A 7-year-old caring for someone ill? He stepped closer, his tone gentle. What did you eat today, Sophie? She thought for a moment, her eyes distant. Yesterday, I had crackers. Today, nothing. Her words choked him. He'd known hunger, but he'd forgotten. Now a little girl made him remember. Will couldn't stand still. Sit down, he said. You're not working anymore. Sophie shook her head, eyes determined. But my grandma needs me. She wouldn't stop. Will knelt down, I leveled with her. You're not alone anymore, Sophie. I'll help, he promised. But Sophie looked at him doubtful. She'd heard promises before, all of them broken. Will saw the pain in her eyes. A child carrying a heavy burden. He called his assistant, voice urgent. Bring food up now. Sandwiches, juice, warm milk. He wanted Sophie to know she was cared for. She took the food, hands trembling slightly. She ate slowly, small bites, as if afraid it might disappear. Will watched, his heart aching. He'd lived for profit. But now he saw the truth. Sophie wasn't just a girl. She was a cry for help he'd missed. He called the manager, voice icy. Why is a child working here? The manager, Harris, stammered. It's a special case. Special? Will snapped. She's starving and you didn't notice? Harris dodged. No one complains, sir. Will's blood boiled. He couldn't let this go on. He asked Sophie, voice softening. How long have you been working? She thought for a moment. Since I was 5. Will was floored. 2 years? A child working? Why didn't you tell anyone? He asked. Sophie shrugged, voice calm. I did, but no one listened. Her words hit him like a punch. Will thought he controlled everything. But he'd overlooked Sophie. He didn't know the full story. But he knew one thing. Sophie deserved better. She needed a chance, a home. Will stood, resolve surging. He'd uncover the truth. Gloria, Sophie's grandmother. She'd worked at the resort. But they cast her out when she got sick. Sophie had carried the weight ever since. Will clenched his fists. His system had failed. He couldn't let Sophie fight alone. But the real challenge was coming. Manager Harris would push back. The foster system might take Sophie away. What will do? Abandon her to fate? Or stand up, no matter the cost? This journey isn't over. Will and Sophie's story. It's about you, me, everyone. Who in your life needs help? Will you open the door for them? William Brooks couldn't forget Sophie Carter. The 7-year-old girl had shaken his heart. She worked at his resort, just to buy food for her sick grandmother. I haven't eaten today, she'd said. Those words wouldn't let Will stand still. He'd known hunger, loneliness. But now he had the power to change things. Looking at Sophie, Will's heart ached. So small, yet so strong. He couldn't let her fight alone. He had to do what was right. Will ordered food immediately. Sandwiches, juice, warm milk. Sophie took it, her hands trembling slightly. She ate slowly, as if scared it might vanish. Will watched, his chest tightening. No child should live like this. He asked, voice gentle. Sophie, where do you live? She hesitated, then answered. Near the beach, in an old house. Will knew that area. Shacks run down, unsafe. He stood, resolve surging. You're staying here, he said. I'm going to see your grandma. Sophie looked at him, eyes wary. She was used to broken promises. But Will was different. He left the resort at once. Headed to the neighborhood by Miami's beach. Sophie's home came into view. Rusty roof, cracked walls, a creaking door. Will knocked, heart pounding. Sophie opened the door, surprised. You really came, she whispered. Will nodded, stepping inside. Gloria lay on an old bed. Frail, her breathing faint. The room was cold, dim. A few cans of food sat on a shelf. Will's blood boiled. This was Sophie's home. How long had she lived like this? He turned to Sophie, voice trembling. How do you take care of her? She shrugged, voice calm. I work. Buy food. Help her with medicine. Her words pierced his heart. Will knelt down, eye level with Sophie. You don't have to work anymore, he said. I'll take care of your grandma. Sophie's eyes shimmered. For real? She asked, voice small. Will nodded. I promise. He pulled out his phone, calling instantly. My personal doctor, get here now. He ordered food, supplies, new blankets, medicine, everything needed. Will didn't stop there. He called his assistant, voice firm. Find a school for Sophie. A good one nearby. Sophie overheard, eyes wide. School? She asked, amazed. Will smiled, voice warm. You need to learn to play. Not just work, he said. Sophie nodded, but worry lingered. Will Grandma be okay? She asked. Will took her hand, voice steady. She'll have the best doctors. You don't have to worry anymore. He looked at Gloria, heart heavy. She'd worked for him, but the resort abandoned her. Will felt the weight of responsibility. He made a mental list. Doctor, school, new home. He wouldn't let Sophie suffer anymore. But he knew this was just the start. Will called his manager, Harris. Why wasn't I told? Harris stammered, evasive. We didn't think it mattered. Didn't matter? Will snapped. A starving girl, and you stayed silent? He hung up, furious. His system had failed. Will turned to Sophie. She was stroking Gloria's hair. So small, yet so strong. Will knew he had to make this right. He vowed to himself. No child would suffer like Sophie again. But challenges loomed. Harris would fight back, protecting profits. The foster system might step in. Sophie could be taken away. What will Will do? Give up or fight for her? This story isn't just about Sophie. It's about our responsibility. Who in your life needs help? Will you act or turn away? Will and Sophie's journey. It'll make you believe in kindness. William Brooks couldn't turn away. Sophie Carter, a 7-year-old girl, needed him. She worked to feed her sick grandmother, Gloria, a little girl carrying the weight of the world. Will had brought Sophie food. He'd promised to help her grandma, but he needed the truth. Why was Sophie working? Will returned to the resort. He summoned manager Harris, voice icy. Tell me, he demanded. Why is a child working here? Harris hesitated, stammering. It's a special case, sir. Special? Will snapped. She's starving, and you knew. Harris shrugged, dodging. Gloria used to work here. When she got sick, Sophie just showed up. Will was stunned. Showed up. A 5-year-old? Cleaning to earn money? His blood boiled. You knew and did nothing? Harris looked down, voice low. No one complained. We let it slide. Will clenched his fists. His system had failed. He stormed out, heart pounding. He had to learn more. Will sought out Mrs. Martinez, a longtime employee, trustworthy. What do you know about Sophie? He asked. Mrs. Martinez sighed, eyes sad. Gloria was the best, she said. Cleaned for 20 years, never missed a day. But she got really sick, she continued. The resort pushed her out. Will was floored. Pushed her out? No support? Mrs. Martinez nodded. They said she couldn't work anymore. Sophie started helping them, she said. She took a rag, learned to clean rooms. Will's chest tightened. A 5-year-old working? No one stopped her? He asked. Mrs. Martinez shook her head, voice breaking. We wanted to help, she said. But we had no power, no money. Harris told us to let it be, she added. If guests didn't complain, it was fine. Will's anger flared. Fine. A starving child was fine. He thought of Sophie. Resilient, but so small. Eating stale crackers. Caring for Gloria, never complaining. Will returned to the rundown house. Sophie sat beside Gloria. She stroked her grandma's hair, voice soft. Grandma's gonna be okay, right? Will overheard, his heart aching. She carried too much. He knelt down, voice gentle. Sophie, how long have you been working? She thought, eyes distant. Since I was 5. I wanted Grandma to have food, she said. Will's eyes stung. He remembered his own past. Hungry days, no one to help. But he'd escaped. Sophie hadn't had a chance. He took her hand, voice firm. You don't have to work anymore. I'll take care of Grandma, he promised. Sophie's eyes shimmered. For real? She asked, voice trembling. Will nodded. With all my heart. He called a doctor immediately. Ordered a full health check for Gloria. He arranged for food. Canned goods, fruit, essentials. But Will knew it wasn't enough. Sophie needed more than a meal. She needed a future. A home, a childhood. He called his assistant, voice resolute. Find a good school for Sophie. She needs to learn to dream, he said. But he knew there was more to do. The resort system needed change. No child could be left behind again. Will faced a painful truth. He was the CEO, but he hadn't seen. Sophie was forgotten, right under his nose. The weight of responsibility crushed him, but bigger challenges loomed. Harris would resist, guarding profits. The foster system might intervene. Sophie could be taken away. What will we do? Stay silent or fight for justice? This story isn't just about them. It's about those forgotten. Who in your life needs to be seen? Will you stand up or turn away? Will and Sophie's journey. It'll make you believe in kindness. Drop a comment now. Who will you help today? William Brooks couldn't stay silent. Sophie Carter, a 7-year-old girl, needed justice. He knew the painful truth. His resort had abandoned Gloria. Sophie had worked since she was 5, just to feed her grandma, just to survive. Will was furious. His system had failed. He'd brought Sophie food. He'd promised to help Gloria. But now he had to face it. A cold, indifferent system. Will summon Manager Harris. He demanded a meeting now. Tell me, he said, voice sharp as ice. Why did you let Sophie work? Harris stood there, avoiding his gaze. She chose to. No one forced her. Chose to. Will snapped. She's starving. You knew. Harris shrugged, voice slick. What do you want? Fire her? Will clenched his fists. No. I want change. Harris smirked, his tone menacing. Change? People will lose jobs. Make trouble, he said, and the whole cleaning crew's out. Will's blood boiled. Threatening workers? That's low. Sophie's a child, he roared. She doesn't deserve this life. Harris didn't budge. Profits matter more, Mr. Brooks. Will turned away, heart pounding. He couldn't believe it. His own people so callous. Choosing money, abandoning Sophie. But the trouble didn't end there. A social worker arrived. She called Will, voice stern. Sophie must go to foster care. Will was stunned. Foster care? Never. She has no family, the woman said. You have no right to keep her. Will felt the floor tilt beneath him. Lose Sophie? Unthinkable. She stays with me, he said. His voice shook, but stood firm. The woman shook her head. We'll be back. Be ready. Will's fists tightened. He wouldn't let them take Sophie. She'd suffered enough. Gloria was her whole world. Will returned to the rundown house. Sophie sat beside Gloria. She was drawing, voice soft. I want Grandma to get better. Will overheard, his heart aching. She didn't know the danger. The foster system wanted to tear them apart. Harris wanted to protect profits. Will knelt down, voice gentle. Sophie, are you scared? She nodded, eyes worried. If Grandma goes, what happens to me? Will took her hand, voice steady. You won't lose her. I promise. He called his lawyer immediately. I want guardianship of Sophie. Do whatever it takes, he said. The lawyer nodded, starting the process. But time wasn't on his side. The foster system moved fast. Will knew he had to fight, not just for Sophie, but for justice. He returned to the resort, met Mrs. Martinez, the loyal veteran. Will you help me? He asked. I need people behind Sophie. Mrs. Martinez nodded, eyes bright. Sophie's like my granddaughter. I'm in. A few other workers agreed. They wanted change like Will. But Harris wouldn't back down. He called the resort's biggest investor. They threatened to pull funding. Stop this, or the resort collapses. Will took a deep breath, voice unwavering. Sophie's worth more than any deal. He wasn't afraid of losing money. He was afraid of losing Sophie, losing justice. Will thought of the girl, drawing pictures, dreaming of a better world. Resilient, despite being only 7. Will knew he had to be as strong as her. But the pressure was mounting. The foster system was closing in. Harris was scheming to block him. What will do to protect Sophie? This story isn't just about them. It's about those forgotten. Who in your life needs saving? Will you stand up or stay silent? Will and Sophie's journey. It'll make you believe in justice. Drop a comment now. Who will you stand up for today? William Brooks faced his greatest challenge yet. Sophie Carter, a 7-year-old girl, was in danger. The foster system wanted to take her away. Manager Harris threatened to fire staff. Will was furious. He couldn't lose Sophie. She'd touched his heart. She was why he fought. But in the storm, Sophie shone. Small, but stronger than anyone. One afternoon, Sophie ran to him. She held a piece of paper, scribbled with drawings. Dad, I drew this, she said. Her voice was clear, full of hope. Will looked at the picture, his heart racing. A big house, kids laughing brightly. A table full of food, golden sunshine. This is a place where no one's hungry, Sophie said. Will was stunned. Sophie wasn't just surviving. She dreamed big for the whole world. A 7-year-old with a giant heart. He knelt down, taking her hand. You're incredible, Sophie, he said. This will inspire people, he added. Sophie smiled, her eyes sparkling. But worry lingered. Dad, what if they take me away? Will hugged her, voice steady. No one's taking you, sweetheart. I'll fight for you, he promised. Sophie nodded, trusting him. She went back to her pencils, drew another picture. This time a Miami beach. Kids playing, families together. This is home for everyone, she said. Will looked, emotions swelling. Sophie wasn't just drawing. She was telling a story of kindness. Will brought the picture to his staff. He stood before them, voice resolute. Look at this, he said. This is Sophie's dream. She wants no one to go hungry, he continued. She believes we can make it happen. Mrs. Martinez, the veteran employee, nodded. Sophie's right. We have to help. A young worker spoke up. She makes me want to be better. Will felt his chest lighten. Sophie wasn't just inspiring him. She was inspiring the whole team. They wanted to rally behind Sophie's dream. Will decided to host an event. A community gathering at the resort. Hundreds would come. Staff, guests, Miami locals. Sophie would share her dream. But she was scared. I don't know how to speak, she whispered. What if they don't like me? Will held her hand, voice gentle. Just be yourself, Sophie. The world will love you, he said. Sophie nodded, her eyes brightening. She practiced, voice soft. I want everyone to have a home, she said. Will listened, pride overflowing. Sophie, 7 years old, stronger than he'd imagined. The event drew near, pressure mounting. Harris was still scheming to derail it. He called the resort's biggest investor. Cut funding if Will doesn't stop. Will heard the news, his blood boiling. But he didn't waver. Sophie was worth more than any dollar. She was why he kept going. Gloria, though frail, supported them. She held Sophie's hand, voice thin. You're my light, sweetheart, she said. Sophie hugged her, joy radiating. She was ready for the event, ready to share her dream. Will stood by her, heart pounding. He knew Sophie would shine, but the challenges weren't over. The foster system was closing in. Harris was plotting his next move. How will protect Sophie? This story isn't just about them. It's about dreams, about courage. Sophie dared to dream big. Will dared to stand up for her. What about you? What do you dare to dream? Who needs you to believe in them? One small act can change everything. Like Sophie's drawing. Will and Sophie's journey. It'll make you believe in miracles. William Brooks faced a raging storm. Sophie Carter, a 7-year-old girl, was at its center. The foster system wanted to take her away. Manager Harris threatened his staff. But Sophie shone through. She drew dreams, inspiring Will. She wanted everyone to have a home. Will was determined to make her dream real. The community event loomed. Hundreds would hear Sophie speak. But the pressure weighed heavy. Harris contacted the resort's biggest investor. They issued an ultimatum. Stop Sophie's dream, or lose the deal. Will gripped the phone. $1 million contract. The resort's future. He thought of Sophie. Small but mighty. Drawing pictures, dreaming of a better world. Trusting him, calling him Dad. Will took a deep breath, voice unwavering. I choose Sophie, he said. He hung up, canceling the meeting. No deal was worth more than her. Will prepared for court. Today, he'd fight for guardianship. Sophie stood beside him, voice trembling. Dad, do I have to leave? Will held her hand, eyes gentle. You're staying with me, Sophie. He promised, heart pounding. Nothing would stop him today. In the courtroom, tension crackled. The judge looked at Will, voice stern. Why do you want guardianship? She asked. Will stood tall, speaking from his heart. Sophie's not just a girl, he began. She's my family. I used to live for money, he continued. But Sophie taught me what matters. She was hungry, yet she drew dreams. She needs me, and I need her. His voice shook, but not from weakness. The room fell silent. The judge turned to Sophie. Do you want to stay with Mr. Brooks? Sophie looked at Will, eyes shining. He always comes back, she said. No one else ever did. Her words pierced the room like an arrow. Will felt his eyes sting. Sophie so resilient. The judge nodded, voice softening. Your words will be noted. She struck the gavel, voice clear. Guardianship granted. Will dropped to his knees, hugging Sophie tight. Thank you for seeing me, Dad, she whispered. He couldn't speak. His heart overflowed with love. Sophie called him Dad. Not just on paper, but for real. Will once cold and alone. Now the father of a little girl. He didn't save Sophie. She saved him. They left the courtroom, hand in hand. Sophie smiled, carefree for the first time. Will knew this was a beginning. But the challenges weren't over. Harris was still scheming. He wanted the resort undisturbed. Investors might pull funding. But Will wasn't afraid. Sophie was worth more than it all. She was why he'd changed. Will returned to the resort. He gathered every employee. We were wrong, he said. We abandoned Sophie and Gloria. But now we make it right. He wanted to transform everything. No child would work. No family forgotten. Mrs. Martinez stood up. We're with you, Mr. Brooks. Other workers nodded. Sophie's our pride. Will's chest lightened. His community was waking up. The community event was coming. Sophie would share her dream. Will knew she'd shine. But Harris was planning. The foster system still watched. How will protect Sophie? This story isn't just about them. It's about love, about family. Sophie found her dad. Will found his heart. What about you? Who's your chosen family? Who makes you want to fight? One small act can change everything. Like Sophie calling Will dad. Their journey. It'll make you believe in miracles. William Brooks had won. Sophie Carter, the 7-year-old girl, was his daughter. In the courtroom, she called him dad. Thank you for seeing me, she said. Will hugged her, his heart overflowing. They were family, truly. But the story didn't end there. Miami was waiting, ready to rise. The community heard about Sophie, a girl who cleaned to feed her grandma. Now, she was a spark of inspiration. Will knew he had to do more. The community event began. Hundreds gathered in Miami. Resort staff showed up. Guests, locals, all were there. Sophie stepped forward, her voice small but clear. I used to be hungry, she started. But Dad and everyone helped me. Now, I want to help others. She held up her drawing. A big house, kids laughing, a table full of food. The crowd went quiet, then erupted in thunderous, heartfelt applause. Will stood beside her, eyes red. Sophie, his daughter, was shining. Mrs. Martinez, the veteran employee, spoke. Sophie's our pride, a young worker added. She makes me want to be better. Miami's community woke up. They refused to stay indifferent. The resort staff took action. They threw a welcome party for Sophie. She laughed, played with friends. For the first time, she was a kid. No cleaning rag, no worries. Just joy, just hope. Resort guests joined in. They spread Sophie's story. On social media, #NoMoreHunger exploded. From Miami across America, a restaurant donated free meals. A school offered Sophie a spot. Will watched Sophie, his heart warm. She'd changed everyone. He vowed to transform the resort. No worker left behind. Higher wages. Better housing. No child would ever work. Will expanded the Sophie's Dream Fund, helping poor kids across Florida. Meals, books, new dreams. All in Sophie's name. Gloria, though frail, smiled. She held Sophie's hand, voice faint. You make me proud, she said. Sophie hugged her, joy radiating. Miami's community was different now. They shared food, supported each other. A worker brought meals to the needy. A guest donated to the fund. Will knew this was the power of unity. Sophie had ignited that flame. One day, Sophie ran to him. I drew this for you, Dad, she said. A new picture, a vibrant beach. Families together, kids playing. This is the world I want, she said. Will hugged her, speechless. He'd once lived for profit. Now he lived for this dream. Sophie went to school, new backpack on. She learned to draw, read, laugh loud. Will picked her up every day. They ate dinner, talked like family. But challenges lingered. Harris was still scheming. He wanted the old resort back. Profit first, no justice. Investors still threatened. But Will wasn't scared. The community stood behind him. They believed in Sophie's dream. What is this story? It's about unity, about love. Sophie brought people together. Will led them further. What about you? Who's your community? Who needs you to stand up? One small act can start it all. Like Sophie's drawing. Their journey. It'll make you believe in the power of unity. William Brooks and Sophie Carter worked a miracle. The 7-year-old girl is no longer a cleaner. Sophie is now Will's daughter. She drew dreams, igniting Miami. The community rallied behind her. They brought food through parties. The #, no more hunger spread everywhere. The Sophie's Dream Fund lifted up poor kids. Will transformed his resort. No worker left behind. Better wages. Safer housing. No child will ever work. Sophie goes to school, new backpack slung over her shoulder. She laughs loud, plays like a kid. Gloria, though frail, smiles. She knows Sophie is safe, loved. But this story isn't just about them. It's a lesson for us all. Sophie was once hungry, alone. She drew pictures, dreaming of a better world. Will was once cold, living for money. But Sophie taught him kindness. They didn't wait for a miracle. They acted despite the challenges. Harris threatened. Investors turned away. The foster system tried to take Sophie, but will never gave up. Sophie never stopped dreaming. Miami's community didn't stay silent. They chose to stand to fight for justice. What's the lesson here? Justice doesn't come on its own. It takes a heart that dares to act. One small step, one big change. Sophie started with a cleaning rag. Now she's transformed a community. Will started with anger. Now he's a father, a leader. You don't need to be a CEO. You don't need piles of cash. All you need is an open heart. All you need is to do what's right. Who's your Sophie in life? Someone forgotten, needing to be seen? A hungry neighbor. A child craving a smile. What can you do today? Bring a meal, lend an ear. Every step counts. Like Sophie's drawings. Like Will's choice. They show us what's possible. Kindness isn't just a feeling. It's action, it's choice. It's love. Sophie chose to dream big. Will chose to ditch a deal. The community chose to unite. And you? What will you choose? This story doesn't end in Miami. It can reach you. Think of someone who needs you. Think of a dream you can spark. A kind word. A hand extended. You could change a life. Like Sophie changed Will. Like Will change Miami. The power is in your hands. Do something today. It doesn't have to be grand, just real. This is the story of Sophie and Will. A reminder to live fully. They're not perfect, but they chose love. Who will you love today? What will you stand for? Spread this story. Share it with the world. Drop a comment below. Tell us about your action. Who do you want to help? What dream will you ignite? Hit like, share this video. Send it to someone who needs hope. Subscribe to join the movement. To keep pushing for justice. To build a better world. Sophie's dream isn't just a fund. It's a fire in all of us. Will and Sophie did it. They turned a dream into reality. What about you? What will you do? A small act, a big impact. Start now. Because one person is enough to change. Sophie, a 7-year-old girl. She proved it. Will, a once cold CEO. He became a father for her. Miami's community. They rose for a little girl. This story is yours. Write the next chapter. The journey of kindness. It never ends. Comment, like, share, subscribe. Let's spread Sophie's flame together.